This is Forged for Speed.
In this video, I will show you how to perform a water pump replacement. As you can see, coolant is leaking through the weep hole, indicating a failed water pump seal. Before we start, please consider to subscribe and hit the bell icon to receive notifications when a new video is uploaded. First, let's remove the serpentine belt by using a 1/2-inch breaker bar which fits into the slot on the belt tensioner. Rotate it anti-clockwise to remove the tension on the belt and slip the belt off the pulleys. Next, remove the two bolts holding the tensioner onto the engine. The serpentine belt is caught behind the belt tensioner and therefore can only be released once the tensioner is fully removed. Now to remove the crankshaft pulley, remove the driver's side tire. There is a hole in the inner fender liner that allows you to fit a socket and extension through. Using an air impact wrench, remove the crank bolt and the pulley will come free. To free up space to work, remove the inner splash guard which is held together by two bolts and two clips. Next is to remove the engine mounting. Start off by unbolting the brackets holding the aircon hose and the power steering fluid tank. Next, use a jack to support the bottom of the engine and the oil pan. Remove two nuts and one bolt holding the engine to the mount. There is another bolt under the power steering fluid tank that needs to be removed. If you find it difficult to remove the engine mount, jack up the engine more until it is level. The mount should come off easily. Now remove the top plastic cover to gain access to the camshaft pulleys. There are 3 bolts holding the cover in place. Next is to remove the water pump pulley. Use an oil filter strap to hold the pulley in place and unbolt 3 bolts holding the pulley to the water pump. Now with the pulley out of the way, the bottom plastic cover can be removed. There are 5 bolts holding the cover in place. The next few steps are the most important to get right. I will show you how to put the engine on the right timing before removing the timing belt. On the crank pulley, you will see 2 circular markers which I have marked with white and red paint. On the engine, there are 2 corresponding arrow markers. Both arrow and circular markers need to line up, which indicates the engine is at the right timing. On the intake and exhaust pulley above, you will see the same markers and arrow on the engine side and a line on the pulley that also need to line up before removing the timing belt. As you can see, the markers are out of alignment currently. To line it up, fit the crank pulley bolt back and turn the bolt with a wrench clockwise until the markers line up as shown. The camshaft pulleys above will turn together and the markers will line up accordingly too. Double check the alignment before removing the timing belt. Before removing the tensioner, take a picture of the position for reference later. Unbolt the holding bolt and remove it. There are 10 bolts holding the water pump onto the engine. So to avoid mixing up the location of each bolt, make a template to help keep the bolts in the right place. With all the bolts removed, manually separate the pump from the engine. If it is stuck onto it, use a pry bar to pry off the pump. This pump lasted for 4 years before it started leaking. There is corrosion on the pump as I have been running water in the system and not coolant. This is the weep hole where water drips out once the water pump seal fails. Use a Scotch-Brite scoring pad to clean the mating surface before installing the new pump. As an extra precaution, apply a layer of RTV gasket maker on the outer edge to ensure a watertight seal is achieved and for a longer lasting seal. Once the belt is removed, it is normal that the pulley might jump back or also move forward. Just use a wrench and turn the pulleys back so that the markers are aligned. Time to install the new timing belt. Use spring clamps to keep the belt position fixed on the pulley to avoid it from slipping off. Now to adjust the timing belt tension, you will need a special tool as shown here. This tool has two pins that will fit into holes on the tensioner bearing to allow you to put tension on the timing belt before tightening down the holding bolt. Here is how the tensioner is fitted. Firstly, tighten down the tensioner bearing until it stops moving, but not too tight. Then adjust the tension. Here is how to set the tensioner to the required belt tension. There is a metal straight line indicated by the yellow line that will be the reference point. Now, position the first hole slightly after the reference line indicated by the yellow circle. This position will give the correct tension to the timing belt. On the exhaust side, the belt should only flex this much, indicating that the tension is correct. This step is important to confirm the engine timing is correct. Check to make sure all the markers are aligned. Turn the engine manually using a wrench. Turn it a full 6 rounds at the crank pulley and at the end stop when the markers are aligned. You will feel that it is smooth to turn in every round. It does take a bit of strength to turn the engine. Stop turning if you feel that the rotation is stuck. If it is stuck, it means your timing is incorrect. After completing 6 rounds, the camshaft pulley above would have turned 3 full rounds, and check to ensure that the markers are aligned. Double confirm that all the markers are aligned on each pulley. Proceed to start the engine. If you hear a belt flapping sound, it means you need to increase the belt tension. Observe the movement of the belt indicated by the red arrows. You should see an exact same movement in your setup. Check the belt movement on the camshaft pulley. It should be sitting in place and not wanting to slip off. Now it is time to reverse all the prior steps taken for removal to reinstall the plastic cover, water pump pulley, crankshaft pulley, serpentine belt along with tensioner, top plastic cover and engine mounting. Next, take the car out for a test drive and job done. Now it is time to fill up the cooling system with coolant. I am using a ready mix Proton coolant which is in cool blue color. First, fill up the engine side with coolant by removing the radiator top hose and proceed to pour coolant into the hose until it is full. Then fill up the radiator next. Once full with coolant, proceed to run the engine up to normal working temperature to allow air to bubble out from the system. Job done.